2024 was an incredible year to be a fan of indie games. As the weeks rolled on, each felt like a conveyor belt of certified bangers that continue to put the AAA industry to shame when it comes to what's actually important: sheer creative vision. The size of my 2024 backlog alone could carry my gaming for years to come, never mind all the years before it. But as much as I struggle to play through every single title that I wanted to give a chance, something still appeals to me about digging deeper into the dredges of the Steam store to find titles that might be incredibly good, but had too little attention to get the recognition they deserve. Today is the day for those games to shine. Well, 10 of them at least. We don't have all day. So let's get into it. First, if you like our curated recommendations of incredible indies you may never have heard of, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hey, if you're feeling extra frisky, maybe check out our Patreon and get cool perks like early access to upcoming content, access to our Discord community, and much more. First on the list is a game that every horror fan will soon be kicking themselves for not playing sooner, because it is one of the most dread-inducing immersive short-form horror titles I've played in ages. Care puts you in the shoes of a home health aide sent to take care of a Mr. Graves in his remote mansion where, for some reason, all of his servants have disappeared. While there is some puzzling to be done in the game which could otherwise be classified as a walking sim, the appeal is more the fact that it utterly drips with atmosphere. Falling asleep in your quarters only to wake up to a bell frantically ringing through the house and a mortified Mr. Graves screaming about something crawling through the vents was enough to make me want to leave. But the way the game creates small pockets of absolute dread as regularly as it does without resorting to cheap jump scares definitely kept me hanging around. Care's commitment to rock-solid pacing over obtuse, confusing puzzles or jump scares already ranks it higher than most of its ilk, and anybody looking for a good scare and an interesting story should be checking it out immediately. Now, let's shift to something much less horrifying. Aaero 2 is the 2024 sequel to a 2017 game that I personally loved, but frankly was shocked it was successful enough to get a successor. I am not disappointed in Aaero 2 whatsoever, except for the fact that its paltry 19 reviews on Steam indicate a game that was criminally overlooked. Aaero 2 is a rhythm game where each level, backed by tunes from the EDM-focused Monster Cat record label, sends you through a variety of rhythmic obstacles and res-like combat sequences as you seek to reach the end with as high a score as possible. Look, I get it. Heavy electronic music like this is not going to be everybody's jam. And though I was an EDM fan in my younger, less settled days, the sheer dubsteppy intensity of many of Aaero's songs usually doesn't quite tickle my acorns. My mind was quickly changed though by great level design that visualizes the rhythm with such trippy, dazzling spectacle that it's hard not to be enraptured by it. You'll use the left stick to ride rails in tune with the music and dodge enemy projectiles, while using the right stick to target enemy fodder for your missiles. Attacking on the beat gives you extra points, as does aiming accurately and smoothly riding the rails. And the better you do in each level, the more songs and difficulty levels unlock to truly test your skill. And trust me, Aaero does not screw around with the difficulty. So even though its main campaign of songs should only take a couple of hours, plenty of replayability exists in the form of tougher challenges, well-hidden collectibles, and even a local or online 2-player co-op mode. So if you're a fan of rhythm games and haven't played Aaero or its sequel, please know that you're missing out on some of the best games in the genre. Next up is a puzzle platformer so apparently obtuse that it doesn't even have enough reviews on Steam to generate a score. But I'm telling you right now that while I've only played a couple of hours so far, Alpha and Iota deserves to be a much bigger deal than it apparently is. The premise is simple. You play as a repair core in a computer system, ostensibly a little dot that can jump around and possess various items in each level. Some items you possess will be stationary and merely jumping off points before possessing another, while other items can jump and hover like a character in a traditional platformer. What's brilliant about it is the autopilot mechanics though, in which you can give up control of whatever you're piloting and it will simply continue on the way you were going, an invaluable technique to avoid the dreaded red walls that litter every corner of each level. The devious puzzles that come from the combination of this autopiloting mechanic and the various items you can jump between possession of got me thinking early and often, and makes Alpha and Iota one of the most innovative puzzle platformers I've seen in a while. Alright, time for another entry in the well-worn genre of journalism simulator? Okay, maybe that's not something you hear about too often. Times and Galaxy is an interesting hybrid of visual novel and point-and-click game with a hint of detective work, where each of the game's cycles will have you, a thoroughly unpaid robot reporter, choosing a story to cover, interviewing sources, and constructing an article with all that you've learned. It's not quite as serious as its combination of genres might initially sound though, as there's an underlying silliness to the whole affair that gives it more more than enough enduring charm. My next pick is one that I'm really surprised hasn't garnered more attention because it kind of looks expensive. Toy Tactics is a real-time strategy game with vibrantly colorful 3D visuals that even run pretty well on the Steam Deck. It's a simpler, more controller-friendly affair than most real-time tactical titles, with a smooth, newcomer-friendly learning curve, a full campaign and multiplayer modes, and interesting features like the ability to draw and use your own bespoke battle formations. All considered, it makes for a seriously appealing package. And while I've never personally committed much time into RTS titles, Toy Tactics is one of the few that actually feels approachable in its design, even if it's not trying to reinvent an old formula. If you're into a charming, accessible strategy game with some great visual design, Toy Tactics is a title you really should not miss. Time to move on to another platformer, albeit a very different kind from Alpha and Iota. Parkour Legends is a parkour-focused precision platformer where getting through each level in the specified time will require lightning-fast reflexes and an absolute mastery of the game's nuanced but deeply satisfying controls. It's the sort of game that pushes you into a deep flow state once you learn it well enough to not lose momentum, creating a sense of speed and flow that got me shaking and sweaty as I tried to shave just another second or two off my time. And you know what? I understand why this one hasn't been played much. It's an awesome game with tons of cool ideas, interesting level design, and loads of content, but visually it does look a little bland. You can tell it was made on a shoestring budget and that every ounce of that budget was thrown into making a game with tons of levels that feels fantastic to play. And if you ask me, I think they got their priorities right. I just hope that the indie gaming community can look past those relatively simplistic visuals to give this one the credit it deserves. Now for a type of roguelike I've genuinely never seen before. Redline Crooks is a top-down combat racing roguelike that is very fast and pretty unforgiving too. You'll be steering your unwieldy, dramatic little vehicle at wildly fast speeds through randomly generated landscapes as you boost your way through walls and side slam any cars that threaten you, get in your way, or otherwise just kinda give you a funny look. But you have to be careful as boosting will drain your health and you'll need to keep up a steady stream of speed and destruction to do well here. With a variety of characters that have their own special abilities and a core gameplay loop that feels like barely controlled chaos every step of the way, Redline Crooks manages to set itself apart in a very crowded sea of roguelikes and easily deserves a shot. For those seeking something a tad less chaotic, take a look at Simpler Times, a cozy, gorgeous game that defines itself by moments of quiet meditation, gentle exploration, and warm vibes. You'll play as Tana, who's in the process of moving from the home she grew up in and reflecting on the memories she made in her childhood home. It's a profoundly calming experience with simple, easy objectives like taking a photo, painting a picture, packing a box with books, or solving simple puzzles. And in the process, you'll read Tana's journal entries, witness her home change throughout the seasons, or learn more about her through very well-voiced narrations. And while it's not likely to last anybody more than a few hours, Simpler Times' wholesome, nostalgic vibes offer a calming space to exist that some of us definitely need these days. My next pick for the list, on the other hand, is less a calm game and more a trippy, mind-bending purveyor of stress. That game is Avoid, an auto-runner where you'll jump, dash, and more importantly, flip gravity in order to make it to the end of each level unharmed. Getting through its gauntlet of perspective spiraling madness on the default speed is difficult enough, but as the speed of the game ramps up, your reflexes will be thoroughly tested. And while its presentation does lean on a minimalistic aesthetic, Avoid's voxel-based cel-shaded landscape and thumping electronic soundtrack keep things interesting even when you're trying to get through that one difficult level for the 10th or 15th time. Last but not least on the list is, yes, another platformer, but one whose unique control scheme makes it feel like you're controlling two characters at once. This is Fantastic Fist, a game whose name sounds like a gay bar you'll want to stay far away from, but also where you'll control your main character with the keyboard and her disembodied floating fist with your mouse. And only by dragging and interacting with various obstacles can you get through each of its creative and deviously designed levels unscathed. I wasn't feeling especially optimistic about a platformer that required keyboard and mouse controls to play, if I'm honest with you, and accordingly I did find the controls to be a bit floaty, but overall the game seems to have a fairly calibrated difficulty curve and so many interesting ideas that it's hard not to recommend it. So give this Fantastic Fist a try and do yourself a favor and never say that to anybody in real life. So concludes my rundown of 10 hidden gems from 2024 you probably hadn't heard of. Hopefully you found something that strikes your fancy and decide to give some of these hard-working developers a chance. Obviously, I can't cover every lesser-known indie game in a single list, but let us know in the comments below what indie games of recent times you feel are hidden gems, and keep it here on I Dream of Indie Games for the high quality and honest indie gaming coverage you've come to expect.
For far too long, you, the gamer, have been denied honest gaming coverage. Indie developers and publishers have lost their voice, but no longer. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and head over to patreon.com/idreamofindiegames to join this epic campaign for indie visibility. The echo chamber trembles as our message grows louder. Voice to the voiceless!